Good. Okay, in case
Yeah,
you
we
missed it.
are we are fine. Yeah.
Okay, this is the halal zone. And another point I just mentioned, or Moshe Zatzal said many times, that every new invention is always some benefit for Torah. And here we see it working very well. Okay, so Rabban Soloveitchik Zatzal said many times that in order to come to the right psak halacha, you need two ingredients. You have to first know the sugya. That's number one. And number two, you have to have the facts straight. If one of those two things are missing, your chance for a good shot begin to drop rapidly. So we're going to start a little bit with a little bit of the history of Techelet, because we know Techelet in the Torah, and it got lost over the years. It was lost, and we'll talk about how it got lost and why it got lost. And it was about in the late 1850s in the city of Radzin. There was the Radziner Rebbe. And he decided he's going to find the Techeles and bring it back. And he was a very interesting person. First, he was a very big Talmud Chacham. He wrote a lot of pamphlets on Tyros, and he started out by studying chemistry. They say he became an expert in chemistry and reading all different books pertaining to chemistry of animals, whatever it deals with, and then he decided he needs more information. So from Radzin, he went to Italy. There was a new aquarium that opened up. At that time, it was the biggest aquarium in the world. And he spent at least, I understand, 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years. And he studied every single type of fish that they had. And he became an expert in sea animals, sea creatures. And he came to the conclusion that the Tcheles fish is some type of cuttlefish. It seems to be, not sure how he picked that fish. The Rambam does call it Dage Hayam. Maybe use that. But remember, we in Torah don't have we do have two classifications in sea creatures. They are either a fish or what we call a sheret, shratzim. We don't have a separate categorization for snails. So maybe that's what threw him off. But anyway, and he got blue out of it. Amazing, he got blue out of it. But the problem was it would start to wear out and start to fade out. And fade out, first see white spots or wool spots, then more, then eventually it would fade out. Now it's interesting. Tcheles on wool never fades. You could stay 500 years. It look just the same. Just dust it off, just the same. On cotton, it fades, but not on wool. Okay, so being he knew some chemistry, he went to a friend of his, told him this problem, and the chemist said, no problem. Now, again, you just don't squeeze out the fish and get tcheles out of it. You have to put different ingredients in it. The Rambam has some of the ingredients he has in Hilchos Tzitzis, Perek Aleph or Perek Beis. And the guy said, just throw this in when you soak the extracts from the fish. So you take out a vein or an artery, and when you soak it in that solution that you make, just throw this in, and the blue will never come out. It worked like a charm. So he was very happy, and he passed on. And I'll just deviate a little bit from the story. His son came to Rebbe after him. And when he died, his son, the grandson, came to Rebbe. World War II broke out, and the Nazis uh, captured Poland, and they wanted the Rosina Rebbe. So one of his Hasidim uh, put on his shtreimel, went out, found the Rebbe, and they shot him dead. Meanwhile, he fled to another town, and it didn't take long for the Nazis, Yamach Shemam, Zichram, found the town, and they told him if he doesn't come out, they're going to start shooting his Hasidim. He walked out, went over to the captain of the Nazi army there, group there, spit in his face, and the Nazi shot him dead. All right. So back to our story over here. So the Rosina thought he had the problem solved. Then came Rav Yitzchak Herzog Halevi. He was a big gun, and he learned, very scholarly person. He got a degree in London. I don't remember the university he went to. It was a PhD in Leeds, and he spoke half a dozen languages and tremendous knowledge of worldly things. And he decided he's going to pick up from the trail of the Rosina. He actually wrote his thesis on it, and he gave it some name, deal with purple, blue, and he was sure the Rosina made a mistake. So it can't be. He's sure the Rosina made a mistake. So he got samples of his Techelet threads, and they sent him to one of the biggest dyeing manufacturers in Europe. Of course, they had their chemist, and they analyzed it, and they wrote back to him, the blue comes from a chemical. It has nothing to do with the fish. What? How can it be? So I realized the chemist who told the Rosina, I have a solution, I have this powder, you put it in. That was a blue powder. You could have put that powder in orange juice, it would turn blue. That powder was the color. So he was getting the color from the chemical powder. It had nothing to do with the fish. Absolutely nothing. He sent it to another laboratory to confirm it. It was confirmed. And as he suspected, the Rosina's fish was not the Chalaza. So then he began his search to find the fish. So his main search was archaeological findings. And they found on research, obviously he wasn't on all the searches, but all the books that were written up on it, along the Mediterranean, you have the murex, thousands of them, tons, piled up, tons, dating back to the time of the Romans. Aristotle talks about blue dyes, and he mentions the murex. He tells you the best time to get to extract the worm from the shell is the mating season. They're most fruitful then, and you get the dye. The best way to get the dye. So he was sure it was the murex. The Romans, they wore blue, royal blue. Still called the name royal blue. And it's interesting, the Romans made a law. They prohibited anybody from producing a blue dye because it was the garments of the nobles, Mordechai, Techelet for Argaman. So they prohibited with the punishment of either death or losing your property. So that put an end of the private or the industry of dyeing with the chalazon. It was only left for nobles and members of the higher echelons, and the manufacturers went out of business and closed down, and that put an end to the knowledge how you get it out. So Rav Herzog, by the way, he was a very special person. He was the first chief rabbi of Israel. Rav Kook was the first chief rabbi of Palestine. Before it was a state, it was called Palestine. And after the war, he went through Europe, rounding up as best he could all the Jewish orphans that were left, and most of them were taken by the church. He went to the Pope, had his meeting with the Pope. The Pope refused. The Pope said, absolutely not. His name was, I believe, Pope Pius. He should have put anything but Pius for his title. And he couldn't get out from the Vatican, any Jews, but he got out. He rounded up thousands of Jews throughout Europe. And also, he was, at the time of the War of Independence, at that time, there was a good chance. It looked like that Haganah, the Lech and the Etzel were going to take the Har Bayit. So he went to the commander of the Haganah and he said, if you take the Har Bayit, the first thing you should do is clear it out, close it down, a closed military zone. No one goes there. No Muslims, no Jews, no one until we decide what to do with it. Unfortunately, we lost Har Bayit at that time. And unfortunately, in 1967, Rav Herzog wasn't alive. And for some reason, Moshe Dayan, who hated religion, hated it with a passion, won't let any of his children have a bar or bat mitzvah. And unfortunately, everyone took him as a posek. And he said the best thing to do, which he did right away, give it back to the Waqf, give it back to them. The Waqf put the keys in his hand, he returned the keys to him, so you should have it. He made a deal, Jews will never daven here, and he told the Jewish people, yeah, the Kosel Moravi, Herod's Wall. Herod's Wall. Of course, no one paid attention. It's called Herod's Wall. Of course, it was built by Herod, it wasn't part of our Bayit, and that's where we are today. But anyway, so Herzog was a very committed person, smart person, knew what to do, and like I said, he came to the conclusion with all this information that the Murex is where they got the Techelet, they got the blue color. The only problem is it didn't work. Couldn't get blue out of it. Purple got out. Could not get blue out of it. He wrote to different chemists. They were dying, and they say their research shows there's no snail that has a marking that it contains blue in it. For purple, we have, but no marking for blue. He didn't care. He was sure it was the Murex, and he died and never solved the problem. Well, years later, people are still working on it, and the story goes that there's a lab that has a bad smell, of course, like a fishy smell. It was a hot day, and someone said the pails are there, soaking it, and this. Someone said, no, it stinks in here. Put in the backyard. Get it out of here. Put it in the backyard. Okay, put it in the backyard. They finish their meeting. They come out. Blue. Sunlight. Sunlight made a chemical reaction, and the blue came out, and you got blue. The problem was solved. You can get blue out of the Murex. You just have to put it in sunlight, and a chemical reaction takes place, and reduction, oxidation. You change an electron here or there, but you got blue out of it, and then people started more confident than ever that the Murex is the snail where you get blue out of it. And one thing Eretz Yisrael has is plenty of sunshine. And they started to manufacture it, and they still began to do more research and doing research, not only in manufacturing it, but information, archaeological research. And they found on the side the garments that had not tzitzis, but garments that were blue garments. They sent it out to the lab. Yeah, from the Murex. It was actually from the Murex. So there was no question. There's absolutely no question the Murex was used at the time of Chazal. It was used, like I said, by the Greeks. Aristotle spoke about it. Thousands and thousands of shells were found along the seashores of Israel, and they found in the garments of remnants of people in Matada, so they were using it. Number two, you have to keep in mind there is a fake Techelet. It's called Kol Ilan, and that's a plant derivative. It's very easy. I shouldn't say easy, but easier than taking it from the snail. And says, "Oh, put an isra on it." Gemara mentions that they say you should buy your Techelet from a trustworthy person to be sure it's not giving you Kol Ilan, because Kol Ilan is the wrong thing. You're being fooled. But they never said, don't use the Murex. And they definitely knew about it. There's no question about it. They definitely knew. It was all over there. So the evidence seems to be very convincing that the Murex is the snail that the Techelet comes from, and we can't get blue out of the Murex. Now that people are finding out that you do it without sunlight, they find out, again, the Rambam gives a list of ingredients. You take out the gut of the little worm here, and you soak it, and the Rambam tells you other things you put in, and other people are saying now that if you increase the ingredients, the ratio will come blue without the sunlight. Okay, but the bottom line is, it's clear it is the Murex. Since that time, many outstanding Talmidei Chachamim began to wear Techelet. Rav Hershel Schachter, I just met with a few with Rav Reichman, He said, yeah, absolutely. He wears it, but he only wears it in his house because the Rav didn't wear it. So he makes the bracha and puts it in his house. And I met with Rav Mordechai Tendler a few weeks ago, and I spoke to him about it. His father was in favor of Techelet long, long time ago, before all this information came in. He said he asked Rav Moshe. Mordechai told me he asked Rav Moshe. He spoke to him about it, and Rav Moshe said, "Yeah, you could wear it." And he told him she do like Shitas Rashi, because we're Ashkenaz, do like Shitas Rashi, which he does. Right? And he showed me he wears Techelet, tzitzis. And I saw a video from Rav Belsky Zal. He also spoke about Ches. He's absolutely positive. He says there's no question in his mind. And you see, you have very logical information here. There's no question in his mind that the Murex is the right snail, and he wore it also. Yeah. Okay. So then over the years, there was been like from the Rosina Rebbe, um, even before Herzog found that was the wrong one, a lot of resentment against it, and one of the strong points that were against it was the Rav who quoted the Beis Halevi, which said you can't reinvent the Masorah. The Masorah is lost. You have to wait for another Yikam to bring it back. But as the years went on, there were a lot of questions on that statement of the Beis Halevi. And people began to raise questions. One of the early questions was, you have the famous Gemara in Shabbos, where the Gemara is talking about the tzitz of the Kohen Gadol, which is Kodesh Lashem. That's a big machlokes. Was it on one line or two lines? And I forgot which Tana said, I was in Rome and I saw the tzitz. And I think he said, I forgot which sheet, I think he said one line. Huh? And the Gemara accepted his testimony, although they didn't paskin like him, but the Mepharshim bring down that they hold, but the evidence good. Can't say it wasn't good, because they were using it at the time of the Beis Hamikdash. Rome took our kalim. So it's there. So see, apparently they're using it. So they relied on it for the evidence. So they say you could do it. You could rely on it. You could rely on archaeological evidence. Then we have other questions on the Beis Halevi. The Rambam brings down that our calendar, our calendar, which is a solar lunar calendar, how to calculate the time of the month of Rosh Chodesh. And do you make Adasheni? You don't make Adasheni. The Rambam says that information was lost. The information was given to Moshe on Sinai, was lost, which was handed down to Bnei Yisachar, was lost, and we used the calculations of the Greeks. That's our calculation. Our calendar, our Hebrew calendar is based on the mathematics of the Greeks, which today is wrong, which is based on the Julian calendar, and that was discovered wrong sometime, I think, it started to crumble, I think, in the 1600s. And that's why the Hebrew calendar and the secular calendar does not match up. Our spring's about, I think now it's about 21 days difference. So our calendar is off. But nevertheless, the Rambam says we took the information how to make a calendar. Otherwise you have to stop the Chagim. You don't know when to make Pesach. It's the end of the Yom Tovim. So Rambam said we took it from the Greeks, and the famous Rambam that says that makes no difference where we get our information from, whether it is a Navi, whether it is a scientist, any information that's true, we accept it. We search for truth. Our goal is to search for truth. How we get the truth, it doesn't matter. But truth is truth. And that's our calendar. And even though it's still wrong, it's going to be a problem. I'm not exactly sure, but sometime in the future, maybe within the next 100 years, it's not working out, and everything's going to start falling apart. But anyway, see what Rambam says? You can reinvent. We lost our calendar. You don't stop Yom Tovim. You search. We found at that point it was very logical. The Julian calendar. We accepted it, and we're still using that today. Yeah. And then you find that other gedolim would go back and change uh, and bring out new information regarding Mara. The Rosh Yeshiva, my brother Shlita, he learned in Lakewood. Actually, he went to Lakewood in the early days of Lakewood, obviously, but I believe he was the youngest guy to enter Lakewood at that time. And every time I come back from the yeshiva, he always told us a lot of Chedushim of Rabban Kotler. I remember he said, Rabban Kotler said, Mara is iceberg lettuce. That's Mara. And it certainly makes sense. Using horseradish, it's not ochel. You almost die in it. And the bracha shako, it's not a food. So Rabban Kotler said, from Rashi, I believe it was from Rashi, but he said it's iceberg lettuce. Now in Europe, they didn't have it. Russia is a frozen country. They get foods that basically do best underground, like potatoes, herbs that grow on the ground. Horseradish grows on the ground, which could survive the winter. So the Jews had no other choice, so they used that. But he figured out, no, you can go back. So you could. The other proofs, you could reestablish the Masorah. And also, I think that another strong proof is um uh, I guess everything boils down to Har bias, one way or another. Can't escape it. Okay, so when Shlomo Melech built the Beis Hamikdash, he knew that it was going to be destroyed. So he made tunnels on the Har bias, winding, twisting tunnels. There's no question about it. There's hundreds of tunnels there. Of course, we're very limited, extremely limited, to get access to that. But a few times after the Six-Day War, where people, archaeologists, or actually the Rav of Yerushalayim, started digging, and they saw unbelievable. There's no question there's tunnels. About 2 years ago, on the Har Bayit, on the top, all of a sudden a piece of brick of stone caved in, and there was a big tunnel there. Of course, the WAF came and they cemented, they sealed it shut immediately. But there's no question about it, there are tunnels there. And so Shlomo Melech said that when it looks like that the Beis Hamikdash is going to be destroyed, they should hide the Aron, which contains the Luchos, the Shivra Luchos, Sinsenes Haman, in one of these tunnels. And Yoshua Melech, who did a great movement of tshuva at the time, people deviated from Torah, and he felt that Kadosh Baruch Hu was going to take out Kavyachel's disappointment, anger on Klal Yisrael, and there's going to be difficult times ahead. So he sent an envoy to Huldah Neviah, and she told him, yeah, the Beis Hamikdash will be destroyed, but it won't be destroyed in your lifetime. After you die, it will be destroyed. So he, Yoshua Melech, hid exactly like Shlomo Melech told him. He hid the Luchos, the Shivrei Luchos, buried them someplace on the Har Bayis. Now, in that story, there's an interesting event that took place very, very recently. One of his advisors was Asaya. He was one of Eved Lamelech, and the term frequently is used as a servant, meaning a cabinet minister of the king. And he was the one that went to the envoy to Huldah Neviah. And this past year, Erev Shivas B'Tammuz, they have, it's called the Sifting Project. If you've ever been to Eretz Israel, it's a good thing to go see there. And what they did is, and they're still doing, is the Waqf wanted to extend their authority on the Har Bayit, even though there's agreement, but they never listen, and they get away with it all the time. They decided to extend Al-Aqsa Mosque. Now it's interesting, Al-Aqsa Mosque is not in the 500 Amos. It was right off, actually it marks the border of where the 500 Amos come and begin. We're positive about that because on the eastern wall, there are two seams. As you go from north to south, you go two seams. The first seam is the extension of the Chashmonaim. The second seam is the extension of Herod. Al-Aqsa Mosque is built on the first seam, southwards. So it's not Har Bayis, which is an amazing thing. That means for most of the 2,000 years of Golis, no one was davening there. No one was, it was empty. No one, in fact, they did not permit anybody to pray there. And they called it the Dome of the Rock. So it's off the Har HaBayit. But they wanted to extend it without applying for any permits. They began to dig underground and they started dumping tons of dirt from underground. They say they built an extension that could hold 10,000 people, and they're dumping all this dirt. And they found a place to dump it on the outskirts of, not far from the Har HaBayit. And then there were two archaeological students who were walking around from Tel Aviv, and they saw this piles and piles of dirt, and they took some back and found some like pottery and so on and so forth. And they looked old. They brought it to their professor, and he said, "Where'd you get this? This dates back to Bias Region." I told him, and then started the sifting project. Is going on for 20 years. They can do another 20 years. The government gave it over to a private organization, which does it now. And it's a good tour to take. You go, they give you some dirt and you sift, and whatever you find, they mostly find bones from Korbanos and so on and so forth. So Erev Shiva Sabbatam is they find the coin, a seal, not a coin, a seal, the seal of a dignitary, the seal of, I forgot his first name, Ben Asaya, the son of Asaya. They found his seal. And there came a big point of interest that this is the oldest time capsule known to mankind, 2,600 years ago. And the message I think that was being sent to us, that Yoshiel, the luchos are there. It's all there. Asaya's signature is there. All we have to do is to dig. Hey, just dig. You're going to find everything. It's right there. But anyway, with all that said and done, but Shlomo said, bury it, and they'll dig it up in the future. Now, the question is, why didn't Ezra dig it up? Because Ezra knew by Chaim would also be destroyed. So he said, don't touch it. So he left it for our generation, for Baya Shlishi, for our generation. But what was their thinking? Did he think that they'll say, no, you can't rely on archaeological evidence? So why does he bury it for? So why does he say the future generation will dig it up? They have the Aron, they have the Luchos, the Shiva Luchos, and Tzenas Haman. So I mean, I think, and again, many poskim that I know of feel that the dictum of the Beis Levi should not, you're not listening, you like it, but it doesn't seem to be as compelling as, at least for me, as I thought it was in the early days of growing up during the Techelet controversy as time went on. To me, it's clear. You see, we do reinvent the Masorah. We do with Mara, with the calendar. We do reinvent it, and even stranger than that, sometimes we change the Masorah. That's absolutely wrong. For example, our matzos. There's no question about it. Our matzos that we use today, the regular hard matzos, was not the matzah that was used by Chazal. Absolutely not. In fact, most poskim hold it's mizonos. It's not a motzi. And the biggest proof is because the lechem apanim couldn't be chametz. And the Gemara says it was a miracle. They put it out on Shabbos, and it was fresh as could be a week later. I tell you, matzos, I don't see much of a miracle there. I got one from 6 months ago. It still stays pretty fresh. So you know that they were using soft matzos. That's what they were using. But yet, out of need and out of necessity, somehow we took our hard cardboard matzos and we struggled trying to get a sandwich or karich out of that. But nevertheless, you saw a lead that we do adjust. Anyway, with all that said, I began to feel that the evidence is very convincing. But you could always have a little bit of a suffix. So what personally bothered me for quite some time there's a kasha on the Rambam. The Rambam held that the me'il was square. It's a little machlos rishonim. Was the me'il a robe, like Rashi learns? Or me'il was a square, four-cornered garment, like tzitzis. Got tzitzis, two corners in the front, two corners in the back. So the Rambam held that was the me'il, four-cornered garment. So everyone asked on the Rambam, why do you have tzitzis? You have a four-corner garment. Why do you have tzitzis? Yeah, that's a major kasha on the Rambam, and different answers are offered. But the answer that I felt satisfied with is that the Rambam held that if you can't put lavan, if you can't put the white strings on the garment, it's pata from tzitzis. The Rambam says tzitzis, you look in the Rambam, I don't have here, he says like the hairs of someone's head. It's an extension of the gavra. It's an extension of the person. And actually, if you look at Targum, where he translates snapir is a fin. He calls it tzitzin. It's part of the fish. It comes out, the extension of the fish. Al kanaf psil tcheles, the kanaf, which is a psil tcheles, the kanaf. So it's an extension of the kanaf. So it's not, the tzitzis is not like an adornment. It's not like a brochure or some type of jewelry, but the beged extends beyond the main structure of the fabric. And that's the tzitzis. And so you're putting the tcheles over the extension of the beged, over the tzitzis. And if you can't use white, if you can't have white strings, which is an extension of the beged, if you can't have it, you can't put tzitzis on. Now you can't put white strings on the meal. It has to be clear tcheles. And the halacha is if you have a beged that's all blue, so you have to have a string that's strings that are a different color. So you must show that the tcheles is not an adornment, but it's part of the extension of the beged. So if you have a beged that's all tcheles, so you put a purple, pink, or whatever a string on, and then you can wrap it, and then you can go on and wrap around. You're saying this is extension of the beged. But if you can't have white on the beged, then you put it from tzitzis. You put it from tzitzis. And the Ram holds that the tcheles has to wrap around the anaf, the branch of white that comes out. Tcheles has to wrap around the anaf. So therefore the Ram holds that's why the meal was put from tzitzis, because you couldn't put another color there. And that's the din of tzitzis. You have to have a wrapping that wraps around something different. It's wrapping around something else. It has to wrap around the extension of the beged, which is normally white, or whatever color the beged is. But you must see a different color. If you can't see a different color, you put it from tzitzis. And the Gemara says that you start with the white. When you wrap around the strings, the Techelet strings, the first wrap around is white, and you end with the white. And the Gemara gives a little story that to indicate the importance of the white, the Gemara gives a story that a king had two servants. One he told to make a gold cup, the other one told to make a cup out of pottery. They both failed. Who did he get mad at? Got mad at the guy. He told him to make a cup out of pottery. Why? He said, the gold cup I can understand. He had to find a goldsmith. He had to mine the gold. But pottery, I gave you a simple job. You couldn't get that job straight. A simple job, just go in the backyard and pick up pottery. You couldn't do that. So Mara says, that's the white. The white is the simple thing to do. And that's why we start with the white. You start with the white because the white is an extension of the beged, and then you switch to the tcheles, and you end with the white. So what bothered me was that if we have the wrong chalazon, or the wrong color. By the way, Rashi says Techelet is green, which, by the way, from the chalazon, you do get green. Actually, get green, purple, and blue comes out of there. But Rashi is green, so my mind was that if you got the wrong color, maybe we did make a mistake. You're losing the white. The white is the foundation of the mitzvah tzitzis. You're losing the white. The Gemara says the white is the basic mitzvah. So you're losing the white. So why take a chance? We paskin, not like the Balamah, we paskin that ches not makev lovin, love not makev tcheles. So why take a chance? Oh. But recently, one of my talmidim found me a chazon ish that brings a beautiful raya from Gemara Menachos. Gemara is talking about, obviously, talking about the topic of tzitzis, and the Gemara is talking about that a person should not wear a garment of linen. You have a garment of linen, actually, you'll have in tzitzis, right? You have in tzitzis. Now, the techelet has to be wool. Wool is client. So we pass as mutter as the Cholosa said. So the Gemara said that they made Issa to use a four-corner garment of linen with tcheles. Why not? As the Cholosa. So the Gemara said, no, maybe a guy will use a different color. Maybe he won't have tcheles. He'll use a purple color. So Gemara says, okay, it shouldn't be worse than color Elon. So Chazon Ish really picked up from that 1 minute. The Gemara says it shouldn't be worse than color Elon. So I was learning that you have to have white strings, and Techelet is matir the white. The mitzvah of Techelet overrides the mitzvah of having 8 white strings. I was learning you have to have the mitzvah's 8 white strings. Techelet is matir the 1 string. You have to have Techelet, it's matir. But Razoni says, no. So the Gemara says, so he put on a purple string. It's not worse than Kol Elon. Kol Elon, as we mentioned, is fake, a plant derivative of the same color of blue. So Chazon says, you see from here, that let's see what the Rambam shita. Rambam holds you have to have 7 white strings and 1 blue string. So Chazon says, what do we see from here? You have to have 7 white strings, and the 8th string could be anything. It could be orange. Now, if you put an 8th string of orange, you're not going to get the mitzvah of Techelet, but there's no mitzvah to have 8 white strings. The mitzvah to have 7 white strings. And the 8th string, you can make any color you want. The mitzvah is to have Techelet. If you get the wrong color, you don't lose anything. That's what Gemara says. So the guy put a purple string on. The Gemara says should be no worse than Kol Elon. People use Kol Elon. So they don't get Techelet. Yeah, okay, but they get the mitzvah of tzitzis. So you see the Chazon says that the halacha is you have to have just 7 white strings. That makes up the anaf. And the 8th string should be Techelet, but if you get the wrong color, you didn't get Techelet, but you didn't lose anything. You don't need 8 white strings. You only need 7 white strings. And according to each shita, it works out that way. According to the Ravid, you need 6 white strings. And you can have 2 other colors. According to Tosfos and Rashi, you need 2 and 2. Yeah, fine. Oh, so I saw that Chazon Ish, so it was right. So then it comes out, really have nothing to lose. But the evidence is definitely very, very convincing. Yeah, it's very, very convincing. And that's number one. And even if you want to say that that you want to be mach like the Beis Halevi, and you can't reinvent the Masora. Okay, so I put an orange string in. It's not Asa. Can't be Asa. Gemara says the 8th string can be whatever color you want. So it can't be Asa. So the question is, you have nothing to lose. And you have a lot to gain. You have a lot to gain. First, we're doing the mitzvah b'shleimus, number one. Number two, you avoid the problem of the balamor. The balamor paskins that ches is ma'akev. According to the balamor, we can't wear tzitzis today. We shouldn't be wearing tzitzis today because he paskins that ches is ma'akev, the lavan. And you're wearing a beged. According to the balamor, you're wearing a beged without tzitzis. You're not wearing a beged without tzitzis. And it's true, it seems to be Das Yachad, but he has a lot of, it's actually Yehuda Nasi's Shita. And the Gemara assumes that Yehuda Nasi was the Tana of the Mishnah. The Gemara wiggles out and says, how can I argue? And the Gemara comes the whole thing, the Baal wants to know, you see the default position was that like Yehuda Nasi, shows it is Makev. That's one of the reasons why Chaim didn't carry his talis on Shabbos because it violates the Baal Mor. You're carrying on Shabbos. But anyway, you have a lot to lose. You don't do. Yeah. And you have a lot to gain. I have nothing to lose. I'm kind of Baal Moshita, kind of mitzvah b'shleimus. The evidence is very, very, as we see, very, very convincing. And even if you want to say that it's not that the base of Levi can't say it's asa, it's clear. The Gemara says you could put the eighth string could be purple, green, anything you want. So you have nothing to lose. So with all that, I very recently we went down to the manufacturer, the one who manufactures it, a very big expert in the area, who produced this book. It's a very good book, and I'm convinced. So it's a person has to make up his own mind what he's going to do. Yeah, but then it opens up the door to the next question. That opens the door to the next question, which is which shita are you going to follow? Basically, there are three shitas. The Rambam shita is 1 out of 8. The Rambam is you take 4 strings, you put it through the hole, and you double it, so you come out with 8 strings. So Rambam holds only 1 should be Techelet, and the others have to be white. The Ravid holds no, 1 whole long string, so that's 2 out of 8. And Rashi and Tosas holds no, it's 50-50. 4 out of 8 have to be white, and 4 have to be Techelet. Yeah, so I decided I do like the Rambam. Why? Because first of all, the Lashon is psil Techelet. Psil is 1, singular. Actually, Tosfos has that kasha on himself. So how do we have 2 and 2? It says psil. So it goes to the whole drasha. Has rayas that sometimes it's used in the plural, in the form, in the single form. But today, pshuta, in my opinion, listen, there comes a point you have to make up your mind. You can't always you just can't always be Makayim both all the days. It becomes impossible. Like say for Torah, how do you spell psuadaka? Now for a hey. There's no way you can Makayim both days. It's impossible. You gotta make up your mind. Which Jew is going to be a kosher for Torah. I'm telling which side to use the pashas, like the Rambam or the Rush. So you want to put on, like the Gemara said, the Gemara didn't put on Baal Tam's tefillin. He said because if you're gonna do every single shita, he figured out you have to wear like a 55 pairs of tefillin. There's no mitzvah you have to do 55 times a day. It's impossible. So at times you have to make a decision. Times you have to make a decision. Yeah. So me, on the other hand, if you do like the Ravid or like Tosas, then according to the Rambam, you're losing the white. Because the Rambam holds you have to have the enough. You have to have the strands, the mina kanaf has to come from the kanaf. You have to have extension of the beged. And extension means, according to Rambam, 7 white strands or 7 strands of the beged. So if you do like the Ravids, according to Rambam, you didn't do it, you lost the kanaf. If you do like that, you lost the kanaf. So yeah, that's number one. But the Rav also had a beautiful raya for the Rambam. Beautiful raya for the Rambam. The Gemara says. The Gemara has a question. Does the Techelet string count in the million of strings of the anaf? You have to keep in mind it's machlokes. You have four strings that go through eight, or questions of Beishan, Beisil. You have 3, 6, 6 or 8. All right. Maybe the Gemara's question is: does the Techelet string count as part of the anaf, part that comes through? And the answer is, yeah, it does. The question is, well, what's the kasha? Why shouldn't it count? So the Rav gave a beautiful answer. I said, because according to the Rambam, the Techelet does the wrap. The purpose of the Techelet string is to wrap up the anaf. You have an anaf, you have like hair coming out or strands coming out, and you need a special string to wrap it. And the Gemara's question is that special string that used to wrap, does that count as part of the strings? According to Ravid, of course it does. You have one, you have two. You have two, so of course it does. According to Ozer, half and half, of course it does. But according to the Rambam, the Gemara's question is very good. According to the Rambam, the purpose of the Techelet is to do the wrapping. Now the person who do the wrapping could also have a double purpose of counting as a string. According to the Ravid, it definitely counts. You have one Techelet string that has no other purpose but to be part of the anaf. According to Tosfos, you have two strings that 4 out of 8 that count as the anaf, of course. According to Rambam, no, you don't have an extra string hanging down there. It's only the one that wraps. So Gemara's question is very good. Does the Techelet string is its purpose only for wrapping and won't count as part of the 8? Or no, it has 2 rows. And Gemara's answer is it has 2 rows. So so it comes out. The Rav explained. Comes out very the Ram Shita works out very well. And also, the Rav gave another interesting point. The Rav said there are 2 parshas in the Torah. One coming up this week, Gedim Tasalach, right? Then you have the parsha in Shlach Lecha, Kanaf Psil Tcheles. So Rav said there are 2 separate halachas, 2 separate dinim. The one in this week's Shabbos is talking about the anaf. This is talking about the extension of the beggar. It's not talking about the how you wrap them. It's not talking about the string that's used to wrap up the anaf. That's shalach lecha. So 2 separate dinim. One din is a din of you have to have an anaf, and the other din that's in shalach lecha, how do you wrap up the anaf? So it works out very well. So the Ram Shita, in my opinion, works out very well, and also fits in very well. So I decided I decided to like the Rambam. But but there's a little bit of a problem, because the Rambam's nuts are different. Rambam nuts are different. The Rambam has that you put all the 4 strings through, and you get 7 white and one Techelet. And the Rambam says you move down a little bit, and you do 1 wind with the white, and then 2 winds with the Techelet, and then you tie them together. And then the next one you do 3 winds with the Techelet, and you tie it together. Rambam says you can make, that's called a chulya. After each time you tie them together, it's called a chulya. Rambam says you can make between 7 to 13 chulyos. And then the last one you're doing, you do 2 Techelet, and you end with the white, and then you close it off. So because the Rambam wants to show that you're wrapping up the anaf. This is the anaf. So you move a little bit away, and then you start the twisting. So you see the anaf before you make the knot. See here you don't see it. Here we make the knot right away.
We can't see it from on the Zoom.
Okay, 1 second. Let's go over here. Okay, see here. This is the anaf. So according to the Rambam, you move a little bit away, right? And then you start wrapping like over here. So you're wrapping up the anaf. You're wrapping up the anaf. Here, these are made that we make right over here 2 knots, very close. Very, you can't see. You have 4, you have 2 and 2 coming through, 4, and then you tie it right away. So you don't this knot over here, you don't see going around the anaf. You just see 2 and 2, and you tie them together. So the Rambam would start a little bit over here, and all the way as he goes through, he you see all the way as he goes through, you see very clearly that he's wrapping around enough. See, here we are like this. See like this. See, you always see the enough. See enough, always see the enough. You see it over there? So you always wrap around the enough. This is the enough, and the tres goes around the enough. But the question comes out, the machlokes is which kasha is the raisa? So Mara says kasha elyon is the raisa. Okay, so kasha elyon, which kasha elyon? Is this the kasha elyon, the first one that you do? Or this is the kasha elyon, the top one? So machlokes rishon, which is the kasha elyon? Yeah, so Tosis holds this is the kasha elyon. This is the kasha elyon. Yeah, so according to Tosis, if you do like the Rambam, well, I'm sure I did a little different over there. If you do like the Rambam, so your kesha is removed from the beged. According to Rambam, your kesha is over here. So hey, your kesha is removed from the beged. It's far away. It's not. It has to be kesha to the beged. On the other hand, the Rambam would say that if you do, might say, we don't know, you might say if you do like this and you make a kesha shel kayama, it's the end of the anaf. The beged's finished. Like, see, this is you say kesha kayama. So the beged's over. You made a knot, the beged ends. You make a knot, it's finished. So if you do like Tosis, it's maybe the Rambam, not sure, maybe the Rambam would say, no, it's no good. Because you ended off the kanaf. It's the end of the beged. You finish off a beged, you make a double knot, it's over. So you're not wrapping up the anaf anymore. So I didn't know what to do. Then someone referred me to look at Rav Kafach, and I was surprised. Rav Kafach said you should make a knot right away, and then you do like the Rambam. So it bothered me that you might be losing the Rambam. Then I realized, according to the Rambam, these knots are not a kesher shel kayama. Why? Because the Rambam says a kesher shel kayama has to be a ma'isa uman. Professional knot, square knot, any 5-year-old kid could do. And these tzitzis very easy to do. Kids do it 6, 7 years old. So it's not, Rashi holds kesher kayama is something that stays for 25 hours, 25 hours a week, a month, whatever it is. And these knots are always loosening up. Anybody has tzitzis every day, you check your knots. They always get loose. You always got to tie it together. So the Rambam would hold is not a kesher kayama. So then I said, that makes sense to do like Tosus. Because probably, even according to Rambam, it wouldn't end the beged. It's not kesher kayama. It doesn't end the beged. It's not a kesher kayama. And then you're getting in Tosus shita. And I think that's what Rav Kafach decided to do. So that's why this.
Close to the beged or not?
Huh?
Close to the beged or not?
What I did like this close to the beged, but what I wanted the guy to do was because this is not a kesher kayama, so it's a decoration kesher. So I told him he did do a little better to move away from the knot a little bit, so you see the anaf. Now this is definitely a ma'isa uman. That's no question about it. You never have to tie it in the morning. It'll stay like this for 100 years. It never gets loose. It'll never come apart. But it's very hard to learn how to make it. We were fortunate that the Rav of Michmas, where Shmuel David lives, is a Taimani. So he knows the nuts. So he asked him, could you show us? But he said, I'll do it for you. He said, take a film of it. We took a film of it. It was very difficult to figure out. Very difficult to out. But then I went to the Techelet factory, and and just my one more thing I want to say. He has a guy there. He has somebody he learned from a Taimani, did the exact same way. He did 5 times faster. That guy was boy. But we had films of it, and Moshe Menachem figured it out. Was watching the films half a dozen times. He figured it out. So my talents, which he did for me, to move it a little bit more away so you could see the anaf before you do the wines. And you see the first one. If you can see, the first one's white. Then you go to blue, 7 Julios, and the last one ends with white as well also. Yes, that's what I do. And one more thing which I wanted to mention. Yeah, there's another proof for the I saw the book, mind me. For the chalazon, is that we mentioned it was the garments used for royal family, royal members. Now, on the coin of the Roman coins would have, I don't know, bird is the eagle, I don't remember which one it is, but under that bird, they have the chalazon, they have the murex right there. So there's absolutely no question that's what they were using. Aristotle, in his book on animals, has the murex for dyeing. So there's no question that's what they were using. And that's and so that's why I decided to do. There are many different opinions now. The guy said most people are doing the Ravid, what he gets, but I don't know if that's just a good proof. Most people aren't Jewish. Most people so can't go by most people. I understand some make more combinations. I know that some of Shech make more combinations, but I wanted to sort of maintain Masorah. When you go to shul, you look around. The people, more and more people are coming up with the wearing Techelet, and you look around. But you see mine, say, oh, he does the Rambam. So I feel I'm attached to the Masorah. Oh, he does the Rambam. But now for these combinations, you're looking, you're not sure what sheet he's doing. So I felt I want to try to stick closer to the Masorah. So I followed what Rav Kafach did, and that's what I personally do. Yeah, but I would say there's another point, a very important point that we have to mention. That there's another very strong halacha. You can't go against your Rebbe. Rebbe, it's awesome. I was, I lived in the east side, and I was, our Zochad was very close to our Moshe, to Abdullah Feinstein. Shabbos would walk, go home together. And Abdullah was a tremendous Talmid Chacham, tremendous. And there are many things that I remember about Rav David, Zatzal. One thing was it was a tremendous honor. It's, a tremendous honor. I remember the first time I was in yeshiva. I was learning something, I got stuck on something. Just someone Mushayeh said, "Oh, go outside Rav David's here. Go outside Rav David." Outside, I saw someone filling up the soda machine. So I can see him. No, he's filling up the soda machine. It didn't bother him. The soda machine was the color got money for the soda machine. It was empty. He took out soda, filled it himself. Came there with the Gemara. Said, "One second, let me put this down." Gemara me, answered me. So it was tremendous honor. Tremendous honor, no question about it. But he never would give a psak, no matter how simple it was. If a guy would ask him what bracha do you make on a glass of water, and Ramosha was in the room, he said, "Go ask my father. Go ask my father." He would never give a psak for Ramosha. And one interesting personal experience which I had, on the Lower East Side was known for losing cars. I lost one, wasn't going to lose a second one. So those days I had alarms. Um, uh, so I come back Friday night from shul. We lived on the fifth floor. I come from shul. My wife and I hear an alarm going off. I said, huh, wonder whose alarm it could be. I said, hey, looks like my car. Well, my car, alarm is screaming, this and that. So my question was, could I get a guy to turn it off? You know, it was very late. It was a winter, so I wasn't going to go to Rav Moshe. Rav David lived in the same building as I did. So I said, I'll go to Rav David. I opened the door, and I told his wife, she said, oh, won't leave the meal? Whose alarm is going off? Oh, should have guessed it'd be me. So I said, can I get a guy to take it off? He said, I don't know if he said, my father's here. I didn't see him because we were singing in the car. He said, my father's here. Go ask him. So he went paskin, even though I'm sure he had the shot before. Yeah. So Moshe asked me if I let it go, will it be have some removal? It will cost me a lot of money to fix it. I said, no, I don't use a boost. How much is that? Maybe then it was $2. Man, there's a removal. They looked around and said, let's see, there I think Rav Dava was on the fourth floor, third floor. He said, very time to go to sleep. People can't sleep with that noise. Techelet tzibur. Oh, can get a guy to do it. Oh, but I remember that you wouldn't pass Mishal in front of Ramosha, even though it could be simple as could be. So you want to think about it, want to discuss it, you want to do, but you have to if you wear it in a place where the Rosh is out, where your Rebbe is out, you have to get permission from him. You have to ask him. Okay, we'll stop here.
So
Yes.
is there some issue I don't know about, but about the color, how blue it should be?
Yeah, right. So, how blue it should be. Right. So he, the Radzina, actually, he did a lot, it's very funny. He did a lot of, I don't want to sound too prejudiced, but for a very strong Hasidic background, did a lot of scientific work. He made color charts. But what's very, and the other thing disappointing is Hasidim, uh, I understand, I hope I'm wrong, still use his cuttlefish. He said the Rebbe said it, and it's amazing that the Rebbe was such an open-minded person. He went out, studied chemistry, went to the museums, as I don't know. Anyway, so much of that. Yeah, so he made a color chart. So I am confident that even here, when you do it on this, and now the talus strings are thicker, so you can see the difference. Yeah. And there's no question they could not match up exactly from each guy had his own things. And I've just mentioned a story when I was a little boy, I think it was 1952, my father all of a sudden bought a brand new car, a white Plymouth, and the guy smashed into it. So he changed the door, but the color never matched the rest of the car. And it bothered my mother most. They couldn't. They went back and said, listen, we got close we can get. Now they told me they have it coded, barcode. You get the exact color every single time, exactly perfect. They didn't have that. Bismar Chazal, no question about it. Like Bakir Shemayim. One guy says this guy that. So I think any blue that the person says, yeah, that's blue. That's good enough. That would be good enough. And you do see even with there are different types of murexes, but you do see that there is an opening even to Masorah. Most people eat turkey. Chazal never had a turkey. Actually, for a long time, I think even still today, many Sfarim don't eat turkey. I believe the Rav said that his father was makbenato. I don't remember for sure, but many people, because it's not a chicken. But most people say, listen, it looks like a chicken, a big chicken. It's close enough. So certainly we could say lo nitnato machasharas. To you, it looks blue. It's blue. Actually, Moshe said many times, people now with their film sharosh, now they come with a mirror. Come with a mirror. I understand they're coming out with a laser beam soon, to be sure. So Moshe said, he asked him about the mirror. Moshe Beno didn't have a mirror. Right? You're not going to do a mitzvah better than Moshe Beno, so forget it. For you, if it feels straight, that's straight. If you feel straight, I'll be aloha. It's straight. You consider it straight. And you also with the lechi, with the with the wire going over the lechi. People now have protract. They have laser beams. This. He said, look, if it looks straight, that's straight. That's it. So I say, listen, if it looks blue, it's blue. That's it. It's blue. Like I said, they say another guy figured out you can make it without sunshine. He feels it's better. I don't know, but the one time the Ram didn't mention sun. I'm in the sun because every diet probably put the things in the sun. But if you feel it's blue, to me that's blue.
You know, Ram, first person though says something about they don't know what blue it should be.
He says in the Yad Chazaka, he says it should be as the sky thing says when the sun is in the middle of the day, the beginning of the day. You have it over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
What do you mean?
the Eno Esleno Hayom.
Hayom, if you should, you don't to yourself, right? If you right, right. So, right. Oh, so you remind me of another thing, right? So, yeah. So that was right. So it seems to be saying that we can't do it.
It says we don't know how to diet.
We don't know how to diet. We don't know how to diet.
Every color of Techelet and Summer is called Techelet.
What's that?
Techelet Nisiyama Sheinam Shar Sayam.
Right. So yeah. So there. Right. So he said we don't know the exact color.
Sounds that way.
Sounds like yeah.
Sounds like not like we don't know the fish. It sounds like whatever.
Right. But remind me of another thing which I almost forgot. Yeah. Rabbeinu Avram ben Rambam. He wrote a sefer. He wrote on the Pasha Shavua. He also wrote sefer on Maspik. Now, yeah. So the Vatican, they took all our svarim. The most impressive Jewish library in the world is no doubt the Vatican. They have the oldest svarim, and they for I don't know over close to 1,000 years, Jews couldn't go in there, and they began to open it up I think in 1950s. I think it was Pope John the 23rd. He let Jews come in. And they stopped, but they originally couldn't come with any writing implements. So used to have guys come in with photographic memories. They didn't learn come with pencils and papers. Now they come with all type of equipment. But in the early days we were coming in, so people, Talmid Chachamim went down there, thousands of songs, thousands. There's no category. They didn't read Hebrew most of the time. They didn't know how Hebrew different times, but they read Hebrew. A guy pulls out a sefer, Rabbeinu Avraham ben Rambam. So he printed the first sefer on Maspik, very small amount, very, very small amount. Now they recently came out from Bar Ilan University. I just got it. I'm not sure where they got where the manuscripts from of the rest of the sefer Maspik. It's and he has a part on tzitzis, and in there he says. I think it's on page 281 or 283. I wrote it down someplace, but in my paper here. 281, 283 by Tzitzis. What, you have it? You have 283?
281.
283, we have it? Oh.
We'll send it to me from Shmuel.
Oh, very good. So he says over there, if you find Techelet today, of course you should make it. Of course you should do it. And he's matter, even with a linen garment. You should make it, and even in a linen garment, you could put it in, and you could be sorry, you have the right one. So you see, we could do it. So you see, it could be done. So you see, blue doesn't look. It's impossible. In ancient times, everyone had the same color blue. That to me is actually like I said, even when they make it here, different times it comes out a little different. It wasn't computerized, not computerized, and we always do near line. If it looks blue, it's blue. So anything, if you feel it's blue, that's good. That's good enough.
How do you interpret the Rambam and the Persian Mishnah?
Yeah, well, he didn't have Techelet. He didn't know it, so he was just saying that he certainly didn't know how to do it. He certainly didn't know what blue. He can't. How could he say what he doesn't know? He never saw it, never experimented, never tried it.
You're saying you mean you don't know what the philosophy is?
Yeah, you don't know the clause. You don't know what blue is going to come out of it. He certainly didn't know. He had no idea. He had no idea. So he's writing what he knew.
Shouldn't he have said we don't know what the philosophy is?
Huh?
If that's what he meant, shouldn't he have said we don't know what the philosophy is instead of saying we don't know the color?
Well, there's something he didn't know. he didn't know what the chulazon is, which he did not know what the chulazon is. He would have identified it. He didn't identify it. And he certainly didn't know what color blue, how blue is blue. He never experimented with it. He may not even have known how you get the blue out of the chulazon. May not know how to put in the sunshine. But it does bring down the ingredients that he probably got from a Sarah. But he never made it, never experimented, never made it, never knew how to do it. And so that's why he's writing it down. That seems to be, so he doesn't know the color.
Aren't you saying blue is blue? Like if
It-
blue is
it-
blue, then what does that mean? We don't know the color.
No, we know blue, and we know purple. Yeah, we know blue and purple, so we know what blue is. You know, blue looks like the sky. If you think it looks like the sky, it's good.
Right, so what does he mean that we don't know the color?
Yeah, so he means we don't know what color blue we put on citrus because he never had it.
He means but it doesn't matter what blue, he just doesn't know what animal it's from.
He means he doesn't know blue that comes in a garment, how that looks. When blue comes, they have different shades. Like I say, even in my towel, it's a darker
Right.
blue. It's a darker blue, a lighter blue. So he's saying he doesn't know. He couldn't say darker blue, lighter blue.
But you're saying halachically it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
So why is he saying we don't know what blue looks like?
That's
If
why
the
we
blue
don't
doesn't even matter.
Oh, I mean, why are you saying that?
Why is what I'm talking about that we don't know what blue
No,
is?
so I think that's what he's trying to say. So he can't tell you what blue it is. So he doesn't know he can't say dark blue, light blue. It's interesting because in the Yad Chazak he gave a hint to it. Remember the Yad Chazak he wrote later. This he wrote, and again that's on translations too. He wrote that in Arabic. But Yad Chazak he tells you what he does tell you. And maybe you got more information from the time he wrote that to later on. Because he tells you the sky blue in the way say in the beginning of the daylight, when the sun is shining, you have a rum over there.
We're looking for Techelet.
Sorry, so 1 second. Where's he have over here? Yeah, this is Lokrin Chutzeme Shenitzba Ke'ein Harakia. Ke'ein Harakia. Okay, they mention also another place. 1 second. 1 second. Fact change. 1 second. And again, umatichon also, you cook everything up. Nosan ba'atzema, ad shiyosa ke'ein harakia. Ke'ein harakia. V'zo yitzuas atchel shlatzitzis. It says ke'ein harakia.
Rebbe,
So it makes it clear. It doesn't say you can't do it. He says you do it like ke'ein harakia. He's telling you how to do it. Yeah, yeah.
So, Rebbe, at the
Yeah.
beginning of Perek Beis, it says Pasuk Shebakocha.
Which parak?
Perek Beis Halacha Aleph.
Oh, 1 second. So, yeah, go. So, you see, yeah, Hutzeh Matzvur, Kopasuch Shabakachol, V'zohi Dumus HaRakia Nearest La'ayin B'taro Shel Rakia. Okay, so he says here, like a Pasuch of Shabakochol, a type of blue dye, a type of blue color. Zohi Dumus HaRakia Nearest La'ayin. It looks like the Rakia B'taro when the sky is clear. So you see, he's telling you, at least you know you have some marker, you have some indication, some marker. So it makes it very clear. The Yad Chazak makes it very clear. It tells you what type of blue.
Rebbe,
Yeah.
right? What does Rebbe make of Ola Echad L'Shivim Shana in the Gemara about how rare it has to be?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So also, yes, you have all midrashim, like most things, you have all midrashim. Very, very hard to interpret the Drasha. And the Razina was interesting. He didn't take those Gemaras as like the famous one everyone has trouble with. It comes up once in 70 years. So he held, Haggadah is Haggadah. People get mixed up. People think Haggadah is Halacha. Like the Gemara says, came to the base marriage, there's a monster with 7 heads. People take it literally. They check out the base marriage every day. You have to know Haggadah is Haggadah. So that Razina didn't disturb him. Said, well, the Gemara, that was the way they spoke in those days. I think that the Gemara means probably once in a long time. It's not easy job getting them. They camouflage in the bottom of, you were there, they camouflage in the seabed and the sand in the bottom. You go in there, you look like you're not there. The guy shows you have to poke around. So maybe once in 70 years, like once you get an infestation of them and it's easy to catch them. That's what the Gemara meant. That's what the Gemara meant. That every now and then, like you have in certain seasons, you get a lot of mosquitoes, less mosquitoes. So that's what the Gemara meant. But it doesn't mean you have to sit there for 70 years and wait 70 years till you get Techelet. That certainly doesn't mean that.
Do we know that to be the case?
Huh?
Do we know that to be the case, that every so often they're infestation?
Every creature has times infestation. You have the famous one in Baltimore. Anybody from Baltimore? What's that?
Cicadas.
Cicadas, yeah. But every 7 years, Shemitah, yeah. I was there once. Impossible. They come back. So everything has infestation and not infestation. So that's the Gemara meant. Once in every 7 years, you gotta have an easy year. Yeah.
Yes, so just on the topic of color, just to clarify. So they're on there, it says in Kol Gavan Kafel Mikra Kelis and Kelis V'Sudomos. Meaning he seems to be saying not all blues are the actual Kelis, only specific ones. So you said, back then they probably didn't have the exact same color. So where are we going to draw the line in terms of the shades of what is Kelis and what not?
Yeah. So again, remember, first you have to keep in mind the Rambam wrote that early. Number one, it was written in Arabic, so we're not sure about the translation. That's number. But here in the Aruch he tells you very clearly, it has to look like Chaim Shemayim. So if you feel it looks like Chaim, you have to look like you're filling it straight. It's good enough. If you say, it looks like the side looks like Shemayim. That's good. It's good enough. He tells you can't. He doesn't say you can't make it. Rambam Yerach doesn't say you can't make it. And by the way, also, even if he might even change his mind. Maybe he didn't want. Here he mentions. He mentioned there what things he put in there. Here he mentions what you make it with. He maybe got more information. Here he tells you what you mix into it. He says here. One second. He says here, Ketzat Sovin, Tches or Tzitzis, tells you how do you make it. Lokhan Atzem, B'Vishon Oso B'Sid, B'Acham Chapsin Oso, Achiyu Bo Naki, U'Martichon Oso Ba'ala, not sure what that is, Kuyotabo, B'Derech Shatzabom Osim, like they do it, K'dei Sheyu Kodas Ayin, okay, B'Acham Mivigam Chalazon, V'Udog Shadoma Einu Le'ein Hayam, okay, Shocho Kedio, he brings in all these one. So apparently he's telling you how to do it. So maybe for the time he wrote that, till later on he got more information. Certainly possible. But the Aruch makes it very clear. Right? Yeah. Okay.
Does he say in the Shitara why we don't wear it?
What's that?
Does he talk about in the Shitara why he doesn't wear it?
He didn't have it.
He says that in the Shitara.
No, but we know he didn't have it.
Right, yeah, that's in the.
Yeah, he didn't have it. He would have said, I have it, but listen, the Rambam would want a full picture. He won't say, here's how you make it, but I hold you can't make it. He's not gonna do that. I mean, his time was gone. He said but two things will happen. All the private dyers went out because of the enactment of the Romans, and then came very popular Kol Elon. They showed us. It's in, at least I couldn't tell the difference in Kol Elon and the Chalazon. Look exactly alike. In fact, most people gets wrong. Shows you too. Which one you think is the real Chalazon? Most people point to this one. We did it also. I'm an expert. Well, got it wrong. You pointed to Kol Elon. And so over the years, why hunt snails? A garment the size of the me'il, like basically a big abracanthus. The guy estimates we're talking about in today's price, it'd be $1 million. Doing it the way that you have to have ships from this little guy. I don't know, you got thousands after, and you got to take it out when it's alive. Once he dies, is no good, and all these things. So why do that if you get Kol Elon? So everyone's going to Kol Elon. It's like, the horse traders are out of business. You can't with cars. That's it. Right? Soon teachers will be out of business too. You got AI. Right? So things change. So the art was lost. And the Rambam certainly didn't have the art. Right.
They do the midbar.
What?
How did the motion get the midbar?
Try one again?
The midbar. They have the philosophy.
Oh, and the midbar, yeah, and the midbar, did they have the chalazon? What? Right. So that leads us to another mystery with the chalazon. And that's an interesting point. Yeah, Rashi brings down that the top skin of the Mishkan was the or tachash, was a type of chaya. And Rashi points out that in Yecheskel, the tachash is a behema tmeah. So how could you use that for the Mishkan? How's possible to use it for the Mishkan? So Rashi says no. And the Midbar, there was another tachash. It didn't live long. It only lived during the time when the Jews were in the Midbar, and then it disappeared. I guess we would say in our terminology, you have mutations and it's gone. Okay, but Rashi goes out of his way to point out that they used a kosher animal, who's not a kosher animal. So the Rambam in you have a Rambam in Avoda, a Rambam in Avoda. Am I around Avoda? Yeah. Oh, okay. So the Rambam says. You don't have to write it there. Okay, you don't have to write it. Okay.
You want to write it?
You have the one to write it better. You have one to write it? Okay, I'll say the right
Yeah,
now. Okay, yeah. So the Rambam says on what's used for the Shemin on Mishcha. So Rambam says in Perik Aleph, Hamor, it's one of the Hamor, by Kinomon. So Rambam says, how do you make the more, Hamor? So Rambam says, Hu Hadam Hatzro, it comes from the blood that's together, Bachaya Shebahodu, from an animal in Hodu. How you do it? We know that animal. Yeah, to all those that make besamim. So Ravid jumps. What do you mean? The animal is a treif animal. How are we using a treif animal for Shemin HaMishcha? It's an impact. How could it be? That's the Ravid's kasha on the Rambam. And that comes to the question on the chalazon. Right? The chalazon, if we're using the chalazon, using for the chalazon, how are you using it for the meal? Big day kodesh. That's treif. Right? How can it be? So the rabbit's kasha is on the round. How does he use more? You go, that's it. Okay, he made a mistake. Yeah. But there's the famous Rambam in Hilchos Asiri Bia in Kedusha, and I'm sorry, in Kedusha, in Hilchos Machal Asuros. The Rambam brings down Machal Asuros. The Rambam brings down, of course, it's possible that honey from the bee is kosher. Could be kosher. That's possible. The Rambam even holds a hornet's honey. It's also kosher. So Rambam explains over there that's not the essence of the gufa of the animal. It's not the gufa of the animal. So therefore it's kosher. And that spun off the whole story with the gelatin. The gelatin came out, I think, in the 1800s, and Chaim Gzensky wrote a famous tshuva on it. One thing he said, he used to make it from hoofs. So you burn the hoofs to ashes. So it's a different thing, something different, different entirely. And therefore he was matter. He had a lot of good riots to it, and that still, but that didn't make a difference anyway. So from you see from the Rambam that if it's not the essential character of the bee or the hornet, what comes out is kosher. So they want to give that answer for the chalazon, that we take what they take out from the chalazon and you mix it and you change it. So the whole essence is gone. The essence is gone. So according to the Rambam, that's mutter, and that would matter the chalazon. But according to the Ravid, it's a question. The Ravid was all upset about the Maor. How come he didn't get upset about the chalazon? So that I don't know. Yeah, but you do see that that a change in the chefzer, like honey, does change the character, the identification to where it comes from. But anyway, yeah, and one more thing, someone want to say, because one of the other measures says it looks like a fish. So some people want to show if you hold it up like this, does it look like a fish a little bit? The tail. You have to use a little imagination. You learn a guy to use. You have to use a little imagination. But anyway, but then the Razino's right. We're not. He's unbelievable. He's a very big Talmud Chacham. We're not. We're learning halacha. Forget. Don't bring me gemaras with the Haggah that looks like this. We're learning. It's the halacha. We're going to go. Yeah.
If you eat it, you're over this for sheretz hamayim.
And the chalazon, this one. Yeah. So definitely. Well, I should say definitely. Someone answer. Huh?
It's not a dog tummy.
Again?
A dog tummy. A fish.
The chalazon.
It would be a sheretz. It would be sheretz.
Well, we clarify as a sheretz. Yeah. But some want to say that it's Allah Moshe Sinai that the chalazon to answer the Ravid. That except for the chalazon, I know it's a little difficult. But anyway, yeah, sure. It's be a sheretz. Absolutely. Yeah.
Rebbe, one more question. I was wondering, what is the Bala Mor going to do with the Gemara that the Chazon Ish was referencing there? Because how would the Bala Mor understand?
Yeah. Here's the problem with that. The Gemara is going according, not Gemara is not going according to Yudah Nasi. They didn't tell them.
Okay. I got it. Mm-hmm.
In Perak Betalach Aleph, doesn't the Ram say that if it's used, the wrong one is used, it's pasal l'tzitzis, not techeles?
Which
Am I
Rambam?
reading the Rambam correctly? Perak Betalach Aleph, that if you're using the wrong one, it's pasal l'tzitzis?
Was that Rambam?
And that one
Bet
is-
Aleph.
With this one?
No, the big one, the one that's over.
Oh, okay, that's it. Okay, it's right. Yeah, Perak Aleph here.
Perak Bet,
One
Halach Aleph.
second. 1 second. No, this is. Oh, he has it. 1 second. Hang on. 1 second. Second. Your Perak Aleph, 1 second. Sisters, you want halacha?
No, Perak Bet, Halach Aleph.
Right, so we do much here. Right, so shall menace be yafia velo tishtaneh. By the way, that's another good proof, because from the Murex they found on Matzada. We're talking about over close to 2,000 years. Still color does not fade. Will fade in cotton, but won't fade in wool. So Ram says shall medis be yafia, stays in its beauty below tishtana, will never change. Yeah. V'chol shlo mitzvah of osot tzviyah pasul tzitzis. Yeah, it's possible for the mitzvah of tzitzis. It's possible for the mitzvah of tzitzis. Can't use it. You can't take kol ilan and say, I'm using it for tzitzis. It's possible. Doesn't count.
But I thought you said for the eighth one that would be all right.
What?
Didn't you say for the eighth string, according to Ram, that would be all right?
According to the Rambam, yeah, but it's possible. It's possible for Techelet for the tzitzis. It doesn't possible the tzitzis. It doesn't say that tzitzis possible the tzitzis. It's usher to use that for tzitzis. But whoever dies not with this color, whoever dies not with this techeles, possible the tzitzis. It's usher like color ilan to use for tzitzis. You can't take color ilan, that's possible to use for tzitzis.
Meaning you don't get the mitzvah of techeles. Meaning you don't get the mitzvah of techeles, but it's no worse than all white.
Right. It says it's possible to use litzitzis af apishu kenerikia. Even though it looks like, don't think anything looks like Rakia is good, and even Kol Ilan looks like Rakia is good. No, it's possible to use for tzitzis. Kivin Shetavul, because you made a dye with this and that, and you didn't use it's possible to use for tzitzis. It doesn't possible the tzitzis.
It doesn't matter then in the next halacha, like when it seems like, maybe I'm completely wrong, when he's saying Lishma Psula, it seems like there's a differentiation between Techelet and Tzitzis.
Again, what are you saying?
So it seems like he differentiates between Tzitzis and between Techelet and Tzitzis. So like the next halacha, he says Psula as opposed to Psula Tzitzis, meaning
Let's read it again. I'm not sure what you mean here. Okay, it says, 1 second. 1 second. 1
Which halacha
second.
you in?
Which halacha?
Gimel, next halacha, Gimel.
Oh, Tchelet צריך הצביל לשמה, ואם ציור שלו שמו פסולה. והיורש יש בו צבע, עם צבע ומטה, יהיה לאו, okay,
So is there a reason he doesn't say Psula Tzitzis there? Or you're saying Labda?
which line? I'm not sure which line I'm referring to.
The very beginning of halacha Gimel, the Psula.
Shema Psula. It's on Shema. Vim Tzava Shema Psula. It's possible.
Psula for Techeles, no?
Huh?
Psula for Techeles, right? Not
Yeah,
Tzitzis?
Psula for Tcheles, right. Psula for Tcheles. Right. Psula, it's right. Tcheles Tzitzis Tzricha Tzvil Lishma. If you don't do Lishma, it's Psula. It doesn't fulfill the mitzvah of Tcheles. It's Psula. Doesn't mean Pasal the Tzitzis. It's Psula.
But it's still
Right,
halacha.
and in halacha bet, it's not saying he's okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
What about it's a
But anyway, like I say, if you don't want to if you don't want to accept the Chazon Ishu's point, but I'm saying that it works out if you use the Rambam. I mean, if you have the suffix, you still have the love, and you're not losing anything.
Right.
But again, if you hold the evidence, Rav Belsky made it clear in that video. He holds that the murex is the Techelet. So according to Rav Belsky, there's and I think and so does I spoke to Rav Reichenbach, also think so. Seems I believe Rav Shechlin. So according to, if you hold the evidence 100%, doesn't matter. It's only if you hold the evidence, all this not 100%, and maybe. Listen, there comes a point. There comes a point that you don't know where to stop. Now, Moshe one time said that Chazak is stronger than Edom. You're not going to be. No, Moshe says, how do you know the Edom are Jewish? Maybe their mother didn't like them, got mixed up, and maybe their grandmother got them. How do you know? So you have Chazaka. So you have a Chazaka, so it's good enough. So it comes a point you got to stop the maybes. I'm supposed to say have a chazaka, go by that. Yeah.
The Rambam calls it a dog.
Yeah. Right. So that's what I want to say what the Regina held up. But the Rambam didn't have the category. Torah doesn't have a category of snails. Dagayam calls, right?
Udag shadoma in hayam.
Yeah, whatever that means. Yeah.
Nobody had sheretz samayim though.
Yeah, but so he probably didn't categorize as a sheretz. Right, let's say bananas. Right, we categorize one thing, and botanists categorize something else. Strawberries, right? I forgot which way they hold, but we have all things. Many things we call a fruit; they call a vegetable. I think bananas they call a vegetable, if I'm not mistaken.
You think he would call a snail?
He categorizes dagayam. He calls it dagayam, like a type of fish. He didn't call it a sheretz.
Then why call it dag young instead of dag young?
Yeah, I guess it means in the category. I guess it means in the category of if you have two categories, a snail, where would you put it? With a sheretz, or you put it with a dog? So apparently, Ron put it with a dog.
No, yeah.
Rabbi, did we see?
What's
we?
Illustrate the point that he didn't, it
Huh?
wasn't clearly a dog.
I didn't catch that.
To illustrate the point that it wasn't clearly a dog. You have to say it's like daga yam, like as in like, we don't know.
I'm not sure. Yeah, what's that?
Rabbi, didn't we see the gra in Kalim that says that anything that's in the sea is called a dog? It doesn't matter whatever suga it has.
Right.
So it doesn't actually mean that it's fish. It means a sea creature.
A sea creature. Could be a sea creature. Yeah.
Well, even the Gemara says that the Gemara calls it doma ledug, but the Gemara doesn't call it a dug. The
Well,
Rambam
the Gemara
does.
doesn't call it a sheretz, right? Doma
The Gemara
ladug
says the Gemara says briaso doma ledug or something like that.
means
But it doesn't
so it's not calling it a
saying
sheretz.
it's
Doma
not a
ladug.
fish. Otherwise, it would have said it is a fish. It said it's like a fish.
Right, that's
That's what
true.
the note of Behuda says.
Right, that's a good point. That's a good point. Okay, that's a good point. That's Doma ladug. It's not calling it a sheretz, it's Doma ladug. Okay.
He says dog. Oh, it says.
It says, what's it, the Ram says?
No one says dog. Who
That-
dog shadoma aino la'ein hayam.
Oh.
I guess it looks like.
Right, he's
but
right.
both are
Ram
dog.
says dog. Okay.
But he means sea
Uh,
creature, meaning sea creature.
listen, that could be. That's what we're saying. That's what people want to say, or someone. That's what the Razina wanted a dog, so he took the cuttlefish. Maybe.
Is the chilazon actually in the Yam HaMelech?
What's that?
The chilazon, where are they actually finding it?
Today?
Yeah, because I'm saying this is where it gets to the point where at a certain point maybe you could just say this is what the Rambam was working with. He didn't really know, like we were saying before. The Rambam says that the blood is black, and he says that it's found in the Yam HaMelech. How strict do you have to be with the Rambam's interpretation when he doesn't even have access
Right.
to it?
Again, we're not sure where Ram got his information from. That's correct. We're not sure.
So where are they finding them now?
Huh?
Where are they finding the chilazon now?
You have to ask the guy. I'm not sure.
In the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean.
No.
Yeah, they showed us a map. Rebbe, they showed us a map. They showed us a map in the factory of the Mediterranean with the dots highlighted, and it was like all the ports all over around the Mediterranean, Greece, Italy, even Egypt, Israel, of course. They had those dots. It was all over. He said it was basically anywhere.
Right, along the Mediterranean. Yes, you had a question? Someone had a question?
I'm saying that God Gadol that swallowed up Yonah. Wasn't that a whale?
That was
That's an
well,
animal. Huh?
that's
They didn't count.
right. Well, that's true. They didn't count the whales as mammals. They counted as fish.
You didn't think,
Yeah,
oh,
right.
fish, what's in the water?
Listen, no question about it. Our definitions and categories are different than theirs. No question about that. That's a good point. The whale we count, it's a mammal. We count it as a fish.
Rabbi,
You gotta talk a little louder. What's that?
What next to the question of the citrus on the meal?
On the meal, right?
So the Rambam talks about a beggar that's cool Techelet. He has an open. He says openly. He says Haisa cool Techelet. So it's a love and shallah. Mishar tzedon. What's made on shafla? Maybe they should near Techelet. So you just use anything and then you put Techelet in it. So what?
But the meal was called trailers,
Right.
but didn't have citrus on
Are you saying it didn't have it on it? And so
No.
What's the answer to that then? So
it. Because the Rambam holds if you can't put white on a beggar, you can't make citrus.
he said openly here. If you have a beggar that's cool Techelet.
That's not the meal. That's not the meal. You could buy a bag of cool you could put all the white on it you want. But the meal can't have one thread of white in it. The meal, what the Kohen Gadol wall. The meal. What you buy is not the meal.
Because it can't ever have white on it.
It can never have white on it. If you want to make a beggar trailers, go ahead. And you chayiv in tzitzis. And you can put white in there, you can put pink, anything you want. But the Kohen Gadol can do it. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Because that's precluded from. I mean.
Right, preclude, right. Okay. We'll stop here.
Rabbi,
Problems.
Huh?
What's that one of Korah's
Yeah,
objections?
right. That's it. Right.
Right.